From the streets of Port Harcourt to the corridors of Abuja, the Rivers State story refuses to fade. Residents lightened up the city as Governor Siminalayi Fubara made his long-awaited return, greeted with jubilation and fresh hope. But behind these chairs, the drama deepens as I have made peace with Fubara, second term not yet an issue. Now, these were the words from former Governor Nyesom Wike, a declaration that calms some waters but stirs fresh political calculations. Fubara on his own part resumes with solemn pledges, vowing a continued bond with the people of Rivers State, promising stability in uncertain times. Yet, the tension stretches beyond the state. The presidency replies the ADC, the All Democratic Congress, insisting President Bola Tinubu acted firmly within Nigeria's constitution when he intervened and suspended Fubara. The Rivers equation grows more complex: loyalty versus power, reconciliation versus survival, and the burning question remains: whose grip will truly hold the future of Rivers State? The drama, the contest, and the theater of Nigerian politics within Rivers State we will be looking at. This is Viewpoint, and I'm your host, Odiawa AI. Join us shortly.
It is the second day since the end of the state of emergency and the suspension of the governor, his deputy, as well as members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. Following his inability to make it back to the state on Thursday, supporters of Governor Siminalayi Fubara had begun gathering at the Port Harcourt International Airport as early as 8 a.m. on Friday, as news of the governor's arrival became imminent. At exactly 12:17 p.m., his aircraft touched down, and shortly after he disembarked, accompanied by his wife, his deputy, as well as his chief of staff, to a waiting, cheering crowd. The governor stopped briefly to interact with his supporters. After the airport reception, Governor Fubara moved straight to the government house in company of some key stakeholders and security heads. He inspects his official residence before proceeding to his office. Speaking to journalists, Governor Fubara expressed gratitude for the warm reception at the airport and the show of solidarity at the government house gate.
I am really humbled by what I saw at the airport. I was also briefed with some photographs of what happened here yesterday. That reception really humbled me. It showed love, confidence, and solidarity of the bond between this government and the people that we are serving.
He also assured that his administration will remain committed to policies and actions that will impact on the lives of Rivers people.
I want to assure you that we will, by the grace of God, continue to do those things that has made you people love us. I want to appreciate everyone and to say that we love you.
With the House of Assembly resuming plenary on Thursday and the governor returning to office on Friday, Rivers people are hopeful that both arms of government will work cordially for the development of the state.
Now, you're welcome back. We could see from the video there that it was full of fanfare as Siminalayi Fubara returned to office in Port Harcourt. But let's not mistake carnival for clarity. Beneath the music, beneath the masquerades, and beneath the cheers lies a story of power, of democracy, and of survival. Now, for 6 long months, governance in Rivers State was suspended, not by the will of the people, but by the heavy hand of emergency rule all the way from Aso Rock. And now, with one signature from Bola Tinubu, the pendulum swings back. Governor Fubara is reinstated. Now, the question is not whether the Rivers people are jubilant. Clearly, they are. The question is, at what cost of democracy and to the soul of this state in question? Crowds began trooping into Port Harcourt, streets as early as 7 a.m., roads leading to Brick House, the Secretariat, and the airport overflowed with supporters. Masquerades danced, entertainers sang, men and women alike waving flags. They called it a new dawn, a sigh of relief which had finally come. But let us cut through the celebration. This is not just some homecoming over some welcome home. It is a political reckoning. Now think about it, or let us think about it. Fubara was last seen publicly at a burial in Port Harcourt months back, under the shadow of a fragile peace pact in Abuja, a pact midwifed by His Excellency Bola Tinubu himself. His absence coincided with political unrest so intense that emergency rule was declared. And while the masquerades dance today, who will account for the silence of the past 6 months, and who will explain the suspension of a governor elected by the people of Rivers State? Now, frankly speaking, democracy is not just a light switch which you turn off for 6 months and then you flip it back on like nothing really happened. Yet, that is exactly what we actually witnessed. The judiciary has now resumed after vacation. The assembly is preparing to reconvene its plenary session. Institutions are returning to normal, but normal is not the same as justice. Neither is normal as the same as accountability. Now, in the words of political analyst Eze Chukwuemeka, Eze, an APC chieftain, not a member of Fubara's camp, he said Nigerians watched and did nothing, allowing illegalities in Rivers State to happen successfully. And that, my people, is the heart of this matter. Now, when citizens celebrate the return of a governor without demanding for his removal, we set a dangerous precedent. Silence becomes complicity, and complicity weakens the infrastructure they call democracy. Yes, Fubara resumed official duties on Friday. His aides say he will focus on restoring administrative stability and on development priorities disrupted during his absence. We must say those are admirable goals, but governance is not about development. It's also about trust. It's about whether the people of Rivers State still believe their votes matter when the machinery of politics can suspend a governor like a school child, then reinstate him after being pardoned as the offender. So as Port Harcourt basks in celebration, I must ask, and if you must ask, is this truly a new dawn for Rivers State, or is it a warning shot? Because if a governor can vanish for 6 months and return to a carnival, then the masquerade may not just be dancing for Fubara, it may be dancing for the fragile body called democracy itself. I have made peace with Fubara. Second term not yet an issue. Now, these were the words of Nyesom Wike, the minister of the FCT, the strong man of Rivers State politics, the one whose shadow still stretches across the brick house. Now, but viewers, let us not take these words at face value, because in politics, peace is never just peace. Peace is strategy, and silence about a second term is calculation. In a recent interview, Wike dismissed talks of a prolonged rift with Governor Siminalayi Fubara. He said they've been speaking. He said forgiveness has been offered. He even joked, "I don't speak to a man I haven't forgiven." He accused political actors of stoking tensions or misinforming Nigerians of loving crisis for crisis' sake. And he praised President Tinubu for stepping into the situation, for brokering dialogue that pulled Rivers State back from the edge during the state of emergency. Now, let us remember, this is the same crisis that suspended governance in Rivers State for months, 6 to be precise. The same emergency that saw controversial local government elections hurried under federal oversight. And while Wike insists the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission follow due process, the question lingers, were these polls about democracy, or were these polls about democracy rather, or about consolidating control? Now, when a man says, "I went to the governor's house at 1 a.m. to speak with him," what does that tell you? It tells you this is not an ordinary meeting. This is power negotiation at the midnight hour. Wike says the second term is not an issue yet, but in Rivers State, succession has always been the heartbeat of conflicts. From Obiapo, they also know it. From Ikwere Sound, they also know it. Now, the Creeks also and the upland communities, they are also aware of this conflict of takeover for power. In Nigeria, the loudest fight is never about today's project. It is always about tomorrow's mandate. Now, so when a political colossus says not yet, he really means not on the table for now. And let's not forget about the numbers. 2 years remain before the next election season in Rivers State. 2 years in which Governor Fubara must prove that development is not just a slogan, but a lived reality. 2 years to show that he is not just holding the seat, but he is holding the states together. And in those same 2 years, Wike still commands the structures, loyalties, and reputation as the architect of PDP's machine within Rivers State. He says he has no candidates for appointments. He also says he will only advise not to destroy what we've built. But is that not the language of a godfather reminding his protege of the pact that actually binds them together? Some say peace has returned. Well, frankly speaking, I say, or you may say, the peace is fragile when it rests on personal bargains rather than institutional strength. Some say second term is not on the table. We must say, or might not say, second term is always on the table, hidden in every handshake, every whisper in every midnight meeting, or waiting behind every policy decision. So yes, Rivers State is calm today. Wike and Fubara are practically shaking hands, but remember, in politics, reconciliation is often just an intermission. The real play resumes soon, and when it does, the question will not just be whether Fubara gets a second term, the question will be who truly holds Rivers State, Fubara the governor or Wike, a former governor. The conversation only pauses here. We will take a quick break now. We'll be right back.
My dear good people of Rivers State, you will recall that Rivers State was placed under a 6 months emergency rule declared by Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, on the 18th of March 2025, following the intense political crisis in our state. It is without doubt that the 6 months had been enormously challenging for our dear state under the emergency rule. As your governor, I accepted to abide by the state of emergency declaration and choose to cooperate with Mr. President and the National Assembly, guided by my conviction that no sacrifice was too great to secure peace, stability, and progress of Rivers State. This was why I also resisted the pressure to challenge the constitutionality of the declaration of the state of emergency, the suspension of democratic institutions, and all other action that we endured during the difficult period. In the course of this 6 months period, Mr. President graciously brokered the peace process with all the parties successfully. Our leader, His Excellency Onyesom Ezenwa-Wike, CON, all members of Rivers State House of Assembly, and I, as your governor, have all accepted to bury the hatchet and embrace peace and reconciliation in the best interests of our dear state. We believe the political crisis is now behind us and that peace and stability have once again returned to Rivers State, though not without the hard lessons learned from the emergency rule. The responsibility now rests squarely on us, the government, the State House of Assembly, the political leaders, the stakeholders, to put aside our differences, work for the common good, advance the interests of our people above all else. We have a duty to ensure that the peace we have all embraced remain permanent in our dear states. On behalf of the government and the good people of Rivers State, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. President for his fatherly disposition and decisive intervention in resolving the political crisis and for graciously restoring full democratic governance to our states. Personally, I will never take Mr. President's kindness for granted, and for that, I hereby reaffirm my utmost loyalty and eternal gratitude. To those who have expressed genuine fear, frustration, and uncertainty over the nature of the peace process, I assure you that Your concerns are valid and understood. However, nothing has been irretrievably lost. There remain ample opportunity for necessary adjustment, continued reconciliation, and inclusiveness. We must all remember the saying, the costless peace is cheaper than the cheapest war. Accordingly, let us therefore embrace this moment as a fresh beginning. Let us work together with renewed hope and determination to build a stronger, more peaceful, and prosperous River State. I assure you that we will continuously work together, ensuring that we carry everyone along. Despite the turbulence, you are aware of the credible milestone our administration achieved in infrastructure, education, healthcare, and other key sectors over the last 2 years. Our immediate responsibility is to return to the path of governance and development by completing the projects which we started, by ensuring that none of them is starved of fund or neglected, thereby reviving our economy, protecting life and property, and improving the well-being of all Rivers people. I commit to working harmoniously with the River State House of Assembly to recover lost grounds and accelerate the social and economic advancement of our dear state. I also renew my pledge to serve with the fear of God, humility, and a high sense of duty. I wish to sincerely thank you, the resilient people of River State, for your patience, your courage, your peaceful conduct during the 6 months of emergency rule. I also extend appreciation to all stakeholders, religious leaders, traditional rulers, civil society groups, political actors, women groups, youth, concerned citizens at home and abroad, and well-wishers who prayed and sustained us through the challenging period. Above all, let us draw strength from our shared identity as Rivers people. Our diversity is our greatest asset, and our unity the strongest guarantee of our future. We must rise above bitterness and division and channel our energy into rebuilding trust, fostering inclusiveness, and securing a peaceful and prosperous state for all. Once again, I thank and appreciate our father, Mr. President, His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, GCFR, for his timely intervention and dedication to ensuring the restoration of peace and stability in our state. I also thank our leader, His Excellency Onyesom Ezenwa-Wike, CON, the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, for committing to the prompt resolution of this political impasse in the state. I also wish to express my profound thanks to the President of the Senate, His Excellency Senator Goswell Akpabio, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, His Excellency Dr. Abbas Tajuddin, and the distinguished members of the National Assembly for the role they all played in resolution of this matter. I thank the Honorable Speaker and all members of the State Assembly, respected elders, stakeholders, and all concerned citizens for working together to resolve our differences and ensuring that peace and harmony is in our state. Finally, I call on all citizens of River State, regardless of political, religious, and ethnic affiliation, to join hands in rebuilding our beloved state and ensuring a future of dignity and progress for everyone. In all, I give glory to the Almighty God. Thank you all. May God bless Rivers State and all its people. May God bless the Federal Republic.
Now you're welcome back to the show. Fubara pledges a continued bond with Rivers residents. Now at first glance, it looks simple. A governor returning, speaking gratitude, assuring the people of love and solidarity. But let us peel back the layers. Because in Rivers State, every handshake, every speech, and every crowd gathered at the airport was more than ceremony itself. It's actually politics, or will I call it survival or power in motion. Now, on Friday, which has just passed, Governor Siminalayi Fubara arrived at the government house to a thunderous applause from Port Harcourt International Airport. Residents poured out in their thousands. He said, in his own words, "I am humbled by the turnout." It reflected love and confidence and solidarity from the people of Rivers State. And indeed, he was right. The spectacle was not just celebration, it was a referendum and an unofficial vote of confidence played out on the tarmac and also on the streets leading to the airport. Now, but pause for a minute here. Why does this bond actually matter? Because in the last 6 months, Rivers State lived through a political storm, emergency rule, contested loyalties, and midnight negotiations. And within that storm, or rather in that storm, the people waiting to see whether their elected leader will return, whether democracy will bend or break. Now, so when thousands lined up at the airports, they were not just welcoming Fubara, they were declaring our governor is back and our mandate still stands. Yet, let us not romanticize this bond or treat it like some romantic episode. Bonds between leaders and people can be genuine or they can be fragile. The test of loyalty is not in the applause at the airport, but in schools which have been built, roads maintained, salaries paid, and justice actually delivered in due time. A crowd today is hope, but governance tomorrow is proof. Fubara promises to continue to do the things that earn support, but what are those things? Is it the humility in his tone which he spoke? Is it the perception that he's a victim of high-level political tussle all the way from Aso Rock? Or is it the belief that, unlike others, he will finally prioritize the Rivers citizens over Rivers State politics? That is the question that every resident cheering must hold him to, because solidarity is not permanent. It is earned and re-earned. So yes, Fubara has resumed. His pledges are actually a bond. The people are rejoicing. But the real story is not just that a governor has returned. The real story is whether democracy in Rivers State has truly resumed officially. Because a bond is only as strong as the trust that underpins it. And in politics, especially Rivers State, trust is not speech, it is performance. Rivers, the presidency has actually replied again in Rivers State, the ADC chapter within Rivers State, saying Tinubu acted within the Nigerian constitution. But this is not a war of words. It's a battle over the very soul of Nigerian federalism, a clash of interpretations between power and principle, between the might of Aso Rock and the letter of the 1999 constitution. The ADC came out swinging. They called Tinubu's 6-month emergency rule in Rivers State autocratic. They said it was a threat to federalism, a dangerous precedent. They warned that governors and legislatures draw their legitimacy from the people, not a presidential proclamation, and they asked the courts, particularly the Supreme Court, to draw a line within the sand. But the presidency actually fired back through its special advisor, Sunday Arred, dismissing ADC stance as late pontification and empty noise, reminding Nigerians of Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution, a section that empowers the president to act during crises threatening public order. Now, the emergency framework is constitutional, not whimsical, he said. Now, let us be clear. Rivers State was placed under emergency rule for 6 months, like I said earlier. The governor, his deputy, the State House of Assembly were effectively suspended on 6 months back. Tinubu ended the emergency and reinstated them on September 18. The presidency calls it stability, the ADC calls it illegality. Now the question is, who is right and who pays the price? Let us think carefully. Tinubu argues that he acted to protect the interest of Rivers State and by extension Nigeria also from chaos. He insists officials were not reduced to appointees but shielded from collapse. He even cast himself as a champion of federalism, reminding us of his battles in Lagos State during the Obasanjo administration. But ADC has actually pushed back. Only a competent court can suspend or restrain an elected official, not a presidential proclamation, not a press statement, not even a president. And that is the essence of the argument. If a governor's mandate can be switched off like electricity and restored at will, what then is left of the sovereignty of the ballot box? Now, that's a rhetorical question. Today, it is Rivers State. Tomorrow, it might be Zamfara State. Tomorrow, it might be Oyo State. Likewise, Lagos State also probably. Now, when the presidency declares an emergency, it is protection, or is it protection, or is it politics? ADC calls it abuse. The presidency again calls it leadership. And let us not forget the numbers. 6 months of suspension of governance within Rivers State, 6 months of interrupted mandate, 6 months where institutions bowed not to the will of the people but to the decree of Abuja. Fubara and his assembly are back, but democracy is not measured by how fast we restore leaders. It is measured by whether they were ever removed in the first instance or first place. Rivers has peace today, but peace without constitutional clarity is fragile. And if the Supreme Court does not define the limits of emergency powers, history may well define them for us in the long run. The masquerades have returned to the market square, but who will dictate the rhythm of the drums or the tune of the music? That is the real story. That is all for now on Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue. I've been your host, Odiawa AI.